I've been meditating for 2 hours every day for the last 2 months, and I would like to share my experience and the benefits that I have been seeing in my life because of this practice. First of all, why did I start doing that? I wanted to be in a state of satchitananda. In Sanskrit, that means eternal conscious bliss. I'm a huge fan of Michael Singer, and I read his books like The Untethered Soul, The Surrender Experiment. And he goes into this concept of psyche, of who you really are. You're not your body, you're not the life that you're living, but except you're this witnessing soul, the witnessing Atman, the consciousness that's behind it all. And sometimes if you get too caught up in what's happening in our life, and we create lots of pain and suffering, not only for ourselves but also for others in our life. And I saw the patterns in my life that's not necessarily good, and I wanted to change that patterns, negative patterns especially, uh, involving around like anger and negative emotions that I would get triggered for something for no reason sometimes. And I was very curious of why this happens, and that's why I started on this path of spirituality. And in the book, Michael Singer, he talks about this concept a lot. So if you are curious to know about this, you can check him out. Anyways, back to the video of why I started doing it, or why I wanted to meditate is because, like I said, I was from this space of detachment. I was seeing some patterns in my life that was repeating over and over again in different situations. And I'm like, you know what? I don't want this to rule my life anymore. I want to be in a state of eternal conscious bliss, eternal conscious happiness, no matter what is going on outside of my life, or with my life, or persons in my life, the people in my life, or the events in my life, good, bad, ugly, everything. No matter what happens, I don't want to lose my peace. And first of all, was it possible? Like, is it possible to do that? And of course, if you read the ancient scriptures and all these yogis and the great masters, they say it is, and they have experienced that. And I've been listening to them. I've been reading their literatures, and I can resonate with that. So I, with a you can say a blind faith, I wanted to experiment it. Does it really work? So I started on this practices of meditation. I used to do meditation before too, but it's more like, very surface level, just to check the box. I would just meditate for perhaps 10 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day in the morning, just so that I can say I meditated. But there was no substance to it, there was no technique to it. It was just more of like, checking a box. But ever since I started to take my spiritual development more seriously, I came across more practices that would aid me in my goal of achieving Satchitananda. So the first yoga teacher that I came across is Sadhguru. So I enrolled in his program to get initiated into the Shambhavi Mahamudra Kriya. And at the same time, around that same time, I also got pulled towards Yogananda, the the author of Autobiography of a Yogi, and he also has a program, SRF lessons, Self Realization Fellowship lessons, that also has certain practices that you can do. So combining those two practices every day was very challenging to me. First of all, I had to dedicate extra hours in my day. So from meditating from 10 minutes a day, I had to meditate close to 2 hours. So that was a period of transition. I had to reorganize a few things, and I had to do certain practices on an empty stomach. It was very challenging, but I was at a point where, you know what, enough suffering is enough. I need to overcome this negative patterns in my life, this negative obstacles in my life, and I no longer want to suffer, and I want to be in a state of satchitananda, of eternal conscious bliss, and I want to always be in a state that the masters talk about, that the great yogis talk about, to be with God. That's my ultimate goal. So, as a matter of fact, when I wrote my journal on the New Year's 2025, one of the things I wrote was like, in 2025, I want to merge with God. So this was my highest priority, higher than all my life, my other life goals. So I dedicated the time necessary to squeeze in this 2 hours every day. And honestly, I'm so glad I did that, because it's been more than 2 months of regular practice of Kriya yogas and meditation. And I can see so much difference in my life. Like, things are so much effortless. The existence is just beautiful. The interactions with people are are so much better. Everything just falls in place. There's nothing to do. And I always used to get confused with this concept when Michael Singer and all these great yogis, they say, like, in life there's nothing to do, and I'm like, well, wait, that's kind of paradoxical. You need to have goals, you need to have actions. And now I understand what they mean. I'm starting to I'm starting to understand what they mean. What they mean is that life just happens. You don't have to force anything, you don't have to try to accomplish anything, you don't have to try to do anything. Everything that's happening to you is for your highest good, and the only thing that's required of you to do is to just be there 100% with the moment, no matter what is happening. If you like it, if you don't like it, but just let go of the resistance to the event. And you would know, from that space of clarity, you would know the right decisions to make. So you don't have to be concerned about that. And other than that, the other benefit that I see is that my eternal calmness, there's just this state of like constant peace. I don't have any negative thoughts that is overpowering me. Like those thoughts would still come and go, but I don't get pulled into it. I'm able to stay centered more. I can watch the thoughts come. I even know before a thought that's going to come, I will know that I'm going to think about it, and I would stop midway, or I would switch my actions. So I have more control of my inner energy. I can direct it to where I want it to go. Do I want to give my my power to this thought, or my power to this negative pattern, or do I want to just use it to something productive? That's what I've been doing, and it's been helpful to me, because I recently started to develop more software projects, more apps, and being more focused and being more clear is giving me the energy, the concentration to focus on my creation. So my life has completely just shifted just from these two practices that are offered by these great yogic masters. So if you are on the path of spirituality, or if you're just living, everyone, and if you don't want to suffer anymore, if you just want peace, clarity, calmness, stillness, you need to enroll yourself into these programs. SRF lessons by Yogananda, and the inner engineering by Sadhguru. That's the only way for you to know. You can watch me talk about it, but this is just my statement, my experience, and you need to experience it for yourself to see if it works for you or not. And for sure, it's going to work. But you have to put in the work to improve your life, because life is not going to improve on its own. You can pray 100 times a day, you can do all these rituals, but if you don't take the necessary actions in your life, you're not going to get better. So check out those programs. I will put those programs in the link in the description. I'm not affiliated with them. I'm just truly amazed and very grateful for how effective these programs have been in my life, and I hope they will make a change in your life too. Until next time, my friends, be fearless.